Hi William and Mary, this is Emily and I with the Flat Hat, and today I'm here with the class of 2015 candidates for Senate. Today we have Dan Kennedy, Colin Danley, and Jimmy Zane. Thank you for being with us, guys. Just to begin, if you could each tell us a little bit about why you are running for this position.
Well, I would like to be a senator because I really do think that I know what our class needs. And I know a lot of people, and I've been in contact with a lot of people. I was president of DuPont Hall my freshman year, and so I think just being in touch with the people and what they need and want in the essay is my strength.
So over the last year, for me being a senator, I've really seen what Senate can do, and it's really crazy. A lot of people don't realize just the power that Senate has and the way and how it touches, and what it really touches. And I've been policy chairman for about 3 or 4 months now, and I've really started to really hone in on that and try to make some serious changes. And the reason that I'm trying to become a senator again is to make sure that the ongoing initiatives and things that I've begun kind of continue over into the next administration. One of those would probably be the Know Your Rights cards. A couple of years ago, they made these really cool wallet-sized cards that were laminate. They made 2 of them. One had the Conduct Council, like the rules, it was through Dean Gilbert's office. On the back side, it had the Honor Council stuff. And the other one just had like general student handbook stuff. So I'm currently trying to find a vendor for that and figure out what it goes entail. But what goes into making that, and it is a lot of work. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it done before the next administration ends. So I really would like to have the opportunity to keep bring this back and help the freshmen know their rights.
I think a key aspect of my platform is improving the relationship between the student assembly and the student body in general, right? A lot of students right now that I've been talking to have basically claimed that there was a rift between the student assembly and its responsiveness towards the student body and how we represent the interests of everyone at the school. I think this is a crucial factor that the student assembly should be focusing better on. I've been a senator for 2 years now. Recently I was elected Secretary of the Senate by my peers. I was responsible for coordinating Senate meetings. I think that the Senate definitely has a better obligation to reach out to the student body, see what they want, and even better publicize Senate meetings, right? Because we want more people to be involved in this process. The Senate, as Colin said, has a large amount of potential to positively impact the school, especially with respect to budget opportunities for student organizations. We think that with more student participation, this can definitely be streamlined and augmented so that more students can play a part in this crucial process. I also think that, along with my fellow senators, we've been working this year on streamlining the code of the Student Assembly to endow the Secretary with more responsibilities, such as publicizing meetings, being able to ensure that more students are able to participate in this policy-making process. Additionally, I've been really dedicated to public affairs, and I want to make sure more students are engaged in town-gown relations, and also basically streamline the student assembly elections process. Maybe make an instant runoff system so that student votes will be more accurately represented with respect to voting for the student assembly president and the student assembly vice president.
Awesome. I know you had mentioned a lot of key points with regards to communication and transparency, and that's one of the issues we've heard talked about the most this year, is that a lot of students aren't really aware of what it is that the Student Assembly does.
Sure.
For each of you, how would you go about resolving the transparency issue?
Okay, yeah, I know firsthand there's some issue with transparency in the Student Assembly because I'm not in it. And as a consequence, I don't know I didn't until a few months ago when I became interested know much about it. Since then, I've talked with Drew Wilkie a lot, who's currently a senator for our class, and I've gotten up to speed with everything. But the way I think it would be best to address these issues is the issues of transparency, at least with people not being in touch with the senators and whoever else is in charge of the class not being in touch with their constituents. Is there's got to be, I don't know, a more broad outreach, like attack people's interests in a lot of different ways. Flyers around campus, Facebook events, emails, mass emails to the class, things like that, things to really get people's attention, because the student assembly, I know, really does do a lot of good things, but people don't hear about it enough. And to the extent we can, maybe have a dedicated organization that's like directly, that's only responsibility is to just get the word out there of what's going on. I think it would be awesome for our class in the coming year.
Colin, Jimmy, any comments?
Yeah, I'd love to comment on that. While we do have the outreach committee in Senate, it has been really hard to kind of really reach out to the student body. They've really done a lot of great things this year, kind of working with like, what can the SAD do for you campaign. I know that some people have criticized this. I really think it's a step in the right direction. We've started holding semi kind of not office hours, but like we would table in Sadler, which has died off a little bit now, mainly because of midterms. But I think it's starting to pick up again, and it is really a great opportunity for the public to kind of meet the senators. But what I think the main thing to do is really to streamline the website, and I think that has kind of been located by a couple of different people. I think Jimmy's going to comment on this as well, that the website is going to be the best tool that we can use to really integrate the population with what's going on in the Senate. And one thing that I think would be great is to kind of keep an up-to-tab goings on of like what bills are being passed, and maybe have a live feed into the Senate room when we're in session. So I think these are great things to do. It does take a little bit of computer know-how, which unfortunately I have none. So we would have to find someone to do that, and I know there's a lot of people on campus who have been willing to help. So I think really streamlining the website is what's really going to happen, I think. And hopefully with the Code Revision Committee, we were talking about having an archivist and historian, these two new positions. Well, one Chief Technology Officer, right. Archivist. Right. In the next administration, and it's really going to help kind of, the historian's going to help figure out what we've done in the past and make sure those bills are kind of organized in a way, and the Chief Technology Officer, which used to be the archivist in past Senates, will now become kind of the webmaster and really take hold of the website.
Right, definitely. Colin brings up a lot of great points. The tabling campaign has been, like, I guess, it's not been as effective as we would have hoped. However, we have been getting lots of concrete results from the tabling campaign, and we definitely hope to expand its scope later on and get even more feedback from it. Additionally, Colin's right, the Code Revision Committee has been playing a crucial role in streamlining these functions of the essay. The website's definitely a great tool of outreach. That's going to be critical in the coming months. Also, we've been endowing other student assembly roles with even more responsibilities to actually go out and publicize this information. For example, we're charging the secretary to actually publicize Senate meetings, so we have more attendance in these Senate meetings and get more students to contribute. We think that the Senate can really do great things for the students. We've put on a lot of events, and sometimes when I talk to students, they kind of think these events are awesome, but they never know that the Student Assembly was behind it, right? And we hope to be able to put on more of these events to actually get the student body to know that the Student Assembly is doing stuff for them, and not just hanging back and being totally disconnected and being kind of pretentious people, because we're not. We really want to give back to the community and to the college and the community as a whole.
Yeah, hold on, just comment again. We're not, I am a government major, but we're not like just a room of government majors talking about, you know, government things. I think I kind of put my real academic interests aside and focus more on the organization and how to make it better. And I think that's, I think Jimmy's totally agree with this too, is that's what the goal of the Student Assembly is. And I think it gets this kind of connotation of like very politically heavy and very government and very like bogged down in rules. And I think the Code Revision Committee and this administration has really tried to fix that, and I hope future administrations will continue trying to kind of attack that stereotype.
Now, if we turn just to the issue of experience, you come from very different backgrounds. Colin, Jimmy, you are incumbents, and Dan, you said you were president of DuPont also, correct, but no former SA experience. Now, specifically for you, how would you counter claims that your lack of experience would make it hard for you to take such a pertinent leadership role in the Student Assembly?
I'd say I'm, in a certain sense, at an advantage coming being an outsider in a certain sense. I don't necessarily know how things work, and I haven't had the bureaucratic method instilled into me for very long. What I really loved about being president of DuPont is that it was more of like, it wasn't so much like a bureaucracy working together. It was just a couple of kids, like all with similar motivations and intentions, working together, and because of that, we had a really good cohesion, and we're able to do a lot of great work. And so I'd sort of like to bring that same sort of atmosphere to student assembly. It's a big, machine. It's an organization that has a lot of people working for it, and a lot of different, I guess, factions and different things people want to have done. I'd really like to take the atmosphere, of everyone not necessarily trying to get along, but everyone being relatable to each other, making it pretty informal, and then in that way, we'd be able to get things done a lot easier because we wouldn't have so many petty grievances. So I take my experience working as president of DuPont, and I'm also vice president of Kappa Sigma fraternity, taking those sort of leadership roles in smaller organizations that are, represent a smaller group of people, and applying that to a bigger government structure, through those means.
On the other side of the coin, Colin and Jimmy, how would you counter claims that your involvement with the SA has created kind of a cushion between what is accomplished and making sure that you still can listen to the student voice?
So I guess I could do that first. I've been a member of the Student Assembly for 2 years, but throughout all of that time, I've always held on to my connections with my friends in the student body. Civic engagement is definitely what I want to get into later on in life. My parents were activists at Tiananmen Square, which has endowed me with a great sense of faith in, I guess, this country and what young leaders are capable of doing in the future. I bring the spirit to the Student Assembly. I definitely believe that experience is not a factor. As long as you have some kind of dedication and you have specific skills that make you really competitive for this job, you should be able to serve on the Senate, and you should be able to do it competently.
What are your views on talks of merging the undergrad council and the Senate?
Yeah, I'd love to talk about this. I've kind of been at the forefront of the talks between undergrad and Senate. I think there's been a lot of discontent with the way undergrad has been working recently, and it's no fault of people in undergrad. It's really the institutional rules that there are, and in undergrad there are really no rules. In Senate, there's a lot of bylaws and codes and stuff that makes you really productive and kind of work as a team and have a lot of power. In undergrad, the way it's worked right now is the presidents really don't have much power. People get disenfranchised quickly, and I kind of saw a problem between the two organizations in the fact that there's a lot of great people undergrad, and they're kind of being misused. That they go to this organization ready to be involved in campus politics, and then they hit a wall. And I think a way that could really help the Student Assembly and help get these people who want to be involved, who are excited, who don't want to be disenfranchised, get more involved with SA would be to increase the number of Senate seats in the undergrad by 6. So there'd be 6 seats instead of 4 seats per class, and then whoever got the most votes in the election would then become class president. Now, I just want to point out that there's a lot. This is my opinion. This is not a opinion of the SA or of anyone else in the SA. I know that there was a recent meeting talking about new proposed changes of kind of a compromise. I think they really hit on the head of what would be good. And they were talking about maybe giving just the more powers to the presidents in the undergrad council, and making them come to Senate meetings, making them come to committee meetings. They wouldn't have a vote per se, but they would be more kind of invested in the Student Assembly. And I think that's a really good step forward, and possibly at the end, maybe merging the two bodies would be a long-term goal. But giving more powers to the presidents, I think, is a really a good thing to do.
I agree. I think that the undergraduate council, as it currently stands, I definitely agree with Colin's views on this, that sometimes the undergraduate council just doesn't have enough constitutional authority to get the things done that it wants to get done. I think that a lot of these people want to be a bigger change than just representing their own classes in a symbolic and fundraising role, right? And I think that merging these two bodies is definitely going to be a long-term goal if it does happen at all. Initially, I was not a big fan of this merging approach, right? I kind of felt that giving the members of the undergraduate council more power and more abilities to get involved is definitely the way to go. But I kind of feel like the undergraduate council has been more of a traditional thing here at the college, right? A long-term merger might be tenable, but I think that before we do that, we should definitely look into giving these members of the undergraduate council more opportunities to impact school policy vis-a-vis the Senate or other, I guess, student assembly channels. So, yeah.
Yeah, I likewise agree that there's merit to having a discussion about merging the two. Whether or not that's feasible or whether or not that's the way to go has to be decided in that discussion. But I just know, working with the undergraduate council as president of DuPont, when Drew Wilkie was president of our freshman class, you know, people talk about how the president's sort of a figurehead of sorts. The undergraduate council doesn't actually do that much, but, you know, while that may be true, they do some stuff. I remember in homecoming in particular, you know, they got us all to organize our dorms together and make like homecoming banners or homecoming floats, things like that. And so I don't think it's an entirely defective system. So and I don't think there would be any, or at least right now, at least in my experience, any justification for replacing it entirely.